So I didn't even cut it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true.
This whole Celeste and David case has shifted from twisted to straight up terrifying. What started as a strange online relationship spiraled into a dark saga that's now rocking the internet and the music industry. The feds finally unveiled their version of events, laying out a detailed timeline that at first glance looked airtight, like the nail in the coffin for David. They made him look reckless, calculated, and trapped in his own mistakes. But just as the story started feeling locked in stone, David's own brother Caleb burst onto the scene with a bombshell that shook everything. He's claiming the timeline the feds pieced together might not even be real. That's not just a twist. That's an explosion in the middle of an already chaotic story.
So what exactly is this timeline the feds are flaunting? They painted it like a puzzle with every piece snapping into place, each detail pointing directly at David. According to them, the story begins back in late 2021, early 2022. David, just 16 or 17 at the time, meets Celeste online through Fortnite. At first, that might sound innocent, just two people crossing paths in a video game lobby. But here's the problem. Celeste was only 11 or 12 years old. That age gap alone was a red flag that investigators weren't about to ignore. Then March 28th, 2022 rolls around. David releases a track called Decide. To the casual listener, it's just another moody drop from an up-and-coming artist. But buried in the lyrics is a chilling line: "Save your tears." 7 Years fans and eventually investigators latched onto it. They claimed 7 years was David referencing Celeste's age, hinting he'd wait until she turned 18. Suddenly, what sounded like a vague lyric transformed into something way more disturbing. Fast forward to September 7th, 2022, Celeste's birthday. On that exact day, David drops another track called Romantic. Now, anyone familiar with music knows artists tie songs to moments in their personal lives, but for the feds, the timing was too perfect, too suspicious.
This is actually her right here. That's my dad. Well, we got the same dad, but that's her right there. They don't like her mom. Her mom used to her. Like, she always wanted to come, for our dad. She always wanted to live with our dad. And I don't even know where to start from. It's crazy. I wasn't expecting my sister to be dead, but stuff was still seeming all right. I'm like, tell me where you at? Where is you at? Where's you at? She's not telling me. She's like, last time I talked to her. Last time I talked to her, she wanted to come home.
To them, it was proof David was documenting his connection to Celeste through music. By October, things got even shadier. Discord chats started surfacing, screenshots of David asking, "Is Celeste in here?" followed by her direct reply confirming she was. These weren't just random DMs. This was evidence of him actively seeking her out online. Then 2023 hit and the cracks widened. A Twitch stream showed David laughing with Celeste about controversial topics before suddenly panicking and telling her to delete the VOD. That moment alone had investigators narrowing their eyes. Why the panic if it was all innocent? By February 2024, the situation reached a breaking point. Celeste's mother filed her first missing person report. At the same time, David's own comment sections were on fire, with fans calling him out publicly. "LAPD gonna catch you messing with a 13-year-old. The internet was already on his case before police even had their evidence lined up. To the feds, this timeline was devastating. Each event stacked neatly on top of the other, painting David into a corner. But Caleb's intervention, challenging the authenticity of the very timeline investigators were leaning on, suddenly cracked the case wide open. If his claims are true, this wasn't a trail of guilt. It could have been a setup. The chaos didn't slow down. In fact, it picked up steam. That same month, new photos of David and Celeste surfaced online, and they painted a disturbing picture. It felt like every time Celeste disappeared, evidence would pop up showing she was still around him. Spring of 2024, she vanishes again. Then, almost like nothing happened, she reappears briefly only to vanish once more by June. By August, fans spot her backstage with David. And this wasn't just gossip, it was documented. Discord users started mocking the situation in real time, saying things like, "Drop the one with the missing girl." It was brutal, but it also showed how internet detectives were catching on faster than the cops. The online crowd wasn't just watching. They were connecting dots the authorities hadn't fully pieced together yet. Then, September 2025 brought the darkest twist yet. Investigators discovered a body, dismembered and stuffed inside the trunk of a Tesla. And not just any Tesla. It was registered in David's name. That single fact sent shockwaves everywhere. It wasn't circumstantial anymore. This was direct, undeniable, horrifying. The feds wasted no time lining this up as the centerpiece of their timeline. To them, it wasn't just suspicion, it was the smoking gun that tied David to Celeste's death. The fallout was immediate. Within days, David's entire world collapsed. Police raided his manager's house. His label cut ties without hesitation, and David himself spiraled into damage control.
Staying in the Hollywood Hills. So we now find out that they were testing for blood. There's something called luminol, which can light up a floor.
Everyone's seen this on CSI.
Yeah.
That they spray it and it, allows them to see where, if there are traces of blood, even if it's been cleaned up.
So they were looking, on the floors. They were looking in drains to see if there were any traces of blood. We don't know what the results of the search were, but it's significant because the Tesla that contained her body in the trunk was parked nearby. And so it seems like their working theory is she might have been in the house.
Or dismembered in the house and then placed in that car and parked, a block and a half away.
Right, and we should say that the police have not named a suspect yet. The police have not named a person of interest yet, but that doesn't mean they don't have one. They got a search warrant, which means they clearly were able to show a judge that there was probable cause to believe a crime was committed. But the police have been playing this really close to the vest.
He started wiping his Reddit history, locking down his Fortnite stats, and doing whatever he could to erase breadcrumbs. But to everyone watching, those frantic moves looked like panic, not innocence. The feds were quick to highlight this as guilty behavior. To them, it was another piece in a puzzle that now looked airtight. By this point, every road led back to David. The timeline had him cornered. Discord chats, Twitch clips, music drops, missing person reports, and now a body in his car. It looked like case closed. But just when it seemed over, Caleb stepped back into the spotlight. His bombshell? That timeline the feds were so confident about might be false. He wasn't just questioning a detail here or there. He was attacking the foundation of the case. According to him, those carefully arranged dates and receipts weren't proof of guilt. They were proof that somebody set David up. That accusation flipped the story on its head. Suddenly, people weren't just asking if David was guilty. They were asking if he was being framed. And as soon as Caleb spoke up, rumors exploded. Reddit threads and Twitter posts started pushing another angle, that Caleb might not just be defending his brother, but actively working with the cops. Theories multiplied. Some said Caleb distanced himself early because he knew what was coming. Others swore he was secretly feeding investigators information. A few even connected his own music to Celeste, pointing to lyrics that supposedly matched details of her relationship with David. Online detectives were tearing into every verse he'd ever written, looking for hidden meanings. And that's where things split. In the hip-hop world, the word snitch carries weight. Some fans saw Caleb as a traitor, betraying his brother when he was most vulnerable. Others praised him, saying if he was cooperating, it was justice. Whatever the truth, one fact was undeniable. Caleb wasn't just David's brother anymore. He had become a central figure in one of the most disturbing scandals the music industry had ever seen. Just when the story couldn't get any murkier, a blurry photo surfaced online, one that supposedly showed Caleb backstage with Celeste at one of David's concerts. The image quality was awful, but the suggestion was explosive. The internet didn't hesitate. Was Caleb more involved than he let on? Did he know about Celeste the whole time and choose to stay quiet? Or was this a desperate attempt to clear his name before the storm consumed him too? The LAPD, of course, stayed silent. No confirmation, no denial. And in the vacuum of silence, rumors only grew louder. Some online sources claimed Caleb was actively cooperating with authorities, feeding them information from inside his brother's world. Whether those claims were based on fact or just click-chasing journalism didn't matter. The damage was done. Caleb's name was now tangled in the web, stamped onto the narrative. If Caleb really was cooperating, people wanted to know, what was his angle? Was he simply trying to separate himself before the feds connected dots to the entire camp? David's manager had already faced a raid, and his label dropped him instantly. Those closest to David were falling away fast, and Caleb might have been next on the chopping block. But the whispers went further. If Caleb was really handing over details, then all those cryptic songs, strange tattoos, and odd voicemails weren't just quirks anymore. They could be evidence. That possibility was darker than anything the internet had imagined. Caleb not as a bystander, but as an insider, helping investigators stitch the case together piece by piece. And in the world of hip-hop, that kind of cooperation hits different. The word snitch isn't just an insult, it's a brand that can destroy reputations overnight. Some fans saw Caleb as betraying his blood, the ultimate act of disloyalty. Others framed it differently, calling him brave, insisting that when a girl's life was at stake, stepping forward wasn't betrayal, it was justice. But even as those debates raged, online chaos muddied the water. False leads and viral posts ran wild. The biggest one? A shocking rumor claiming Celeste was pregnant when she died and that infant remains were found near David's home. A single post on X racked up millions of views, twisting the case into something far darker than anyone imagined. Overnight, speculation skyrocketed from toxic relationship gone wrong to whispers of something monstrous. The truth? That rumor was completely fake.
They now have evidence that Celeste's family knew about her relationship with David and allowed it. And this comment from 2024 is getting a lot of attention. So someone in Celeste's community commented on a post saying, "I live in Lake Elsinore, 5 to 10 minutes away. There was so much more going on. Her family knew he was with her since she was 11. They didn't care. All they cared for was the money given to them." She said, unfortunately, she was reported missing in 2024, but they all knew where she was. Even her friends extorted David with money so they wouldn't say where she was staying. I think the mom should be held responsible too for allowing a child to move in with a boyfriend at that age. There's a lot more than what's being said. Here in Elsinore, all her friends are talking about it because she was in communication with them. So sad. She said she would sneak out at age 11 even though her neighborhood is horrible, but her parents saw that he had money and became more dependent and would let her leave the house at 13 even though he was 18. She said her mother sold her for $10K a week and he paid so that he wouldn't be seen as a... Which does add up with their Discord messages of her complaining about her parents and him saying, "Don't worry, I'll fix it."
No reports, no forensic confirmations, nothing official from law enforcement. Just misinformation spreading like wildfire, fueled by fans desperate for answers. And that's the dangerous reality. Rumors, once viral, are almost impossible to erase. By the time truth surfaces, the lie has already been believed by millions. For Caleb, that meant one thing: his name, reputation, and even his career were already under fire, whether he was guilty of anything or not. Then came another curveball, this time involving Celeste's aunt. Screenshots started circulating of her posting online, celebrating her new talent badge and acting like life was business as usual. Some fans called it clout chasing, accusing her of using the tragedy for attention. Others defended her, saying maybe this was her way of coping. Either way, the optics were harsh, and the internet couldn't help but side-eye the entire family dynamic. This is where the case morphed from tragedy into full-blown circus. The false leads, the viral posts, the family drama, it all created a storm of noise so loud that finding the truth became almost impossible. On one hand, you had federal investigators working quietly, building what they believed was a solid homicide case. On the other hand, you had internet detectives tossing out wild theories, half of which collapsed under scrutiny. It was chaos, pure and simple. But here's where it gets unsettling. What if this chaos wasn't random? Think about it. When timelines flood with lies, the real evidence gets buried. If someone wanted to cover their tracks or distract attention, flooding the internet with fake narratives would be the perfect strategy. So the question becomes, are these rumors just desperate fans grasping for answers or part of something bigger? While everyone was chasing shadows online, some of the creepiest evidence might have been hiding in plain sight all along, in David's own music. His lyrics, interviews, and breakdowns on stage are now being picked apart, and they feel less like coincidence and more like confession. To understand it, you have to look back at David's upbringing. His parents pulled him out of public school, homeschooling him under strict religious control. He confirmed all of it himself in an interview with Dazed. Friends and critics alike said he showed disturbing thoughts even as a teenager, obsessions with blood, violence, and death. Isolation and video games only amplified it. Then, when his online fame and money rolled in, his parents loosened control, giving him freedom for the first time. But that freedom didn't ground him. It fueled his obsession. To many fans, Celeste wasn't just a girlfriend. She became the centerpiece of his twisted world. And when you put his art under the microscope, the theory takes shape. David may have killed Celeste sometime between October and January, either before or after finishing his last album. The lyrics, the interviews, even the album titles start to sound like coded farewells. And suddenly what once looked like artistry feels more like evidence. Now fans are connecting the dots in ways that are hard to ignore. With Celeste gone, David's obsession looks even clearer in hindsight. His shift from the album Withered to the Tease Deluxe project Japanese Lily raised eyebrows everywhere. On the surface, it sounded poetic. But in Japanese culture, the red spider lily symbolizes death, mourning, and the divide between life and death. It blooms when summer fades into fall, symbolizing transition. For David to embrace that imagery wasn't just artistic, it was eerie. Then came what many fans call the smoking gun, Celeste's actual voice woven into his tracks. On songs like I Never Needed You in So Long, Goodbye, her voicemails can be heard, crying, apologizing, even sounding drunk, saying she misses him. In one chilling clip, she tells him, "You're always the one calling my phone. You have to figure out what's going on with you." It paints a picture of a girl trying to break free and a boy refusing to let go. The darkness deepens with his SoundCloud drop Satan's Pursuit in late 2023. The lyrics cut deep. It kills me slowly, day by day. I need to find somewhere to clean my thoughts, but I'm not happy at all. I let Satan pursue me. I still miss you the way it was before I threw my life away. Fans and critics alike argue this wasn't just art. It was a confession, recorded in real time. And then there were his live performances. In April 2025, during the BandLab experience, David broke down mid-performance while singing Afterlife. He sobbed uncontrollably and couldn't finish the song. 2 months later in June, he tried again, and the same thing happened. The crowd was left speechless. Clips of both breakdowns went viral, sparking heated debates. Was this grief, guilt, or both? When you put all of this together, the symbolic releases, the death imagery, Celeste's voice recordings, the cryptic lyrics, the breakdowns on stage, it paints a haunting portrait. To many, it looks less like coincidence and more like obsession, immortalized forever in his art. And that leads us into the darkest theory yet, that David may have lived with Celeste's body for months before finally leaving it in a Tesla, hoping it would be destroyed or forgotten. Some even argue he wanted to be caught, scattering clues across his music like breadcrumbs. But the bigger question is this: if David was spiraling this badly, did the people closest to him know more than they admitted? Spotlight shifts to Josh Marshall, David's manager. The feds raided his house soon after Celeste's body was found. That raid wasn't random. It suggested investigators believed the circle around David was tangled in the mess. Fans accused Josh and the label of enabling David, pointing out that Celeste had been reported missing as early as 2024, yet still appeared backstage at shows. She was underage, using fake IDs, unable to drive, and yet nobody stopped her presence. That's not ignorance, that looks like willful blindness. And it gets darker. After LAPD searched David's apartment, Josh ended the lease immediately. To fans, it looked like a cleanup operation, erasing traces before police could dig deeper. The label cut ties just as fast, almost like they knew the storm was coming and wanted to protect themselves. This brings Caleb back into focus. If he really is cooperating with investigators, then the investigation may not just target David. It could spread to management, the label, and even family members. Caleb's distance, or his bombshells, could be his way of dodging the fallout while others scramble. At the end of the day, one thing is clear: David isn't the only one under suspicion anymore. The deeper this case goes, the more it looks like a whole system designed to protect him, a machine powered by money and silence, until the truth grew too big to bury. And this saga, it's far from finished. The scandal isn't slowing down. It's only getting darker. So if you want to stay locked in as this story unfolds, make sure you like, subscribe to Starbuzz Daily, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this video with everyone following this madness. See you on the next one.